Ladies and gentlemen, we now invite our ringmaster of the Royal Agricultural Society of New South Wales, Mr. John Bennett, to make his way down where he will salute Her Excellency, the Honourable Margaret Beazley, and officially open the first Grand Parade of the 2021 Sydney Royal Easter Show.
Can you cue me for the fanfare, please?
And with the official salute being taken, the fanfare sounds, and we are now underway with our Grand Parade. We're bringing livestock in from all around the grounds. And in fact, Jake, the first of our livestock making their way out are our alpacas.
Yes, that's right, Tim.
I believe you're an alpaca expert.
Yes, I am an expert on alpacas, and leading the alpacas here today in our Grand Parade is the Alpaca Youth Group of New South Wales. Alpacas are the smallest member of the camel family. They're prized for their valuable wool harvest. Alpacas are ancient. They have been around for more than 6,000 years.
We also see our pigs. Today we have a Berkshire and a Tamworth, with the pig judging starting here tomorrow. And following on from there, we have our sheep. Of course, it's merino judging today, so we're seeing some of our crossbreds coming out for our sheep, but of course the sheep judging taking place. But it's great to see the Angus cattle leading us out here into the main arena. Stu, you've got a beef cattle at the moment down there in the sheds?
Yes, Tim. So we're judging beef cattle. We started yesterday with our school steers and our purebred steers, and today we have had a variety of judgings: Limousin, Red Angus, Shorthorn, Speckle Park, and we also judged our paraders competition today. We're down on numbers this year due to COVID. We've got about 500 head of cattle on the ground. We would normally have about 1,200, but we will still provide you with an absolutely wonderful spectacle here in a moment.
Jake, I know you're an avid follower of the cattle industry and the cattle breeds. Have you got a favourite breed that you like?
The Santa Gertrudis, Tim, my favourite breed, yes. I see we've got Brahmins there too, Stuart.
Yeah, we do, Jake. We do. Pretty much all the beef cattle in Australia are represented here at Sydney Show. Interesting to note, and I'm just trying to pick him up, the largest bull on the ground is the Shorthorn bull. Now, he weighs 1,212 kilograms.
That's a lot of patties.
Hell of a lot. Sorry, my apologies, I said Shorthorn. He's Red Angus, and the Hobbs family from Molong have exhibited him, and they've had a very, very successful show. But 1,212 kilos. It's bigger than most people's cars.
That's a big beast. And competitors travelling from near and far?
Near and far. Obviously, again, you know, the C word, COVID has caused us some restrictions, but we do have people from Victoria, South Australia, Queensland, and we even had one of our judges today who came from Western Australia.
It's been wonderful to see. We'll come back to some cattle, Jake. We've seen 50 years of the Australian Stockhorse Society, and we've seen some great results coming in for our Australian stock horses. The breed for every need.
It certainly is. As you said, Tim, they've celebrating 50 years this year. It's formed as a society back in 1971, and today we've seen the judging of the Supreme Champion Australian Stock Horse, and that was won by Loretta Lawson from Aberdeen, up there in the upper Hunter of New South Wales, with her nomination Rosebrook Primrose. And I would nearly suggest that there's been record nominations here this year in our Australian stock horse classes. All of our competitors that have qualified for this year's Sydney Royal Easter Show. We also had the Best Australian Stock Horse Gelding. That was won by Kelly Robinson from Rainbow Flat, with Secret Heart Ego.
We also see making their way now down in front of the big screen our Shetland ponies, and our most successful Shetland exhibitor for this year was Laurie Grimmer from Glenmalla, which is just outside of Bathurst, with his team of horses, having a wonderful time. And also a note there to Pat McCormick and their team. They've had a wonderful show. They with CD Biggar and Pat McCormick from Goulburn. The Shetland ponies, of course, the powerhouse. Power to weight ratio, Stuart, those Shetlands are the most powerful horse in the horse breed due to size. Bred in the Shetland Isles, and they were developed to pull coal out of the mines and other things like that.
That's incredible. I was just thinking as you were talking about that, I do recall them being very much the backbone of the coal mines.
It's like the diversification that we see, and we see this with our cattle as well. We see so many different breeds today, don't we? You know, there's been breeds like the Speckled Park, I know, is a newer developed breed, and these different cross breeds. You know, you see the Brangus and all these different breeds that keep crossing
Bracals,
back.
all sorts of things. And it's interesting you mentioned the Speckled Parks, because they are probably the most recent breed to show on a regular basis at Sydney, and every year their numbers are increasing. So that tells me that commercially they're a great fit for the industry as a whole, and they add wonderful marbling to anything that they cross with. They've gone in a couple of years from what we call a Category C, which are fewer numbers, to a Category A in no time.
Stu, I suppose a lot of people may be sitting here saying, why do we show? Why do people bring animals to the Sydney Royal Easter Show? It's a huge expense. It's a lot of time. There's a lot of effort goes into it. But there's a real commercial value to winning an award, isn't there? Yeah,
there certainly is. Not that you would see it in the city on your TV screens or on your radio, but somebody to win, particularly a broad ribbon at Sydney, is incredibly commercially beneficial for them. And you've got to remember, these people are running businesses. They mightn't be the sort of businesses that in the city we associate with, but they're running a business on their farm, and any leverage and advantage they can get to sell their product to somebody over somebody else, one of their competitors, well, they're going to take it.
Jake, we just see making their way in front of the members stand some of our lead Clydesdales, and on the outside track we have some of our heavy horses. Of course, the heavy horses, we've only had a couple of our turnout classes, our Bakers and our Milk Cart, but the lead Clydesdales, we've seen some wonderful exhibits in that part of the competition so far as well.
Yeah, we certainly have. We've had the lead champion stallion or colt, and this year that was won by Mr. Paul Cooper from Warrombi here in New South Wales. We've also seen the running of the champion and reserve champion Clydesdale Stallion, and as we said, Paul Cooper was the winner of that class. We've seen the champion. We've also seen the Supreme Champion Clydesdale, and that was won by Anthony and Mrs. Pamela Parry with their nomination, Dales Winton Charlotte.
I'll just remind everyone, girls and boys, I know when you see this amount of livestock, you would love to applaud them. It's the one time at the show we say, please, no applause. Please keep the noise level down here to a minimum. So throughout this, if you see something happening, please, no applause, no laughter or cheering. If something happens, we've got a huge number of livestock. It's the only time that we bring all the livestock into the arena. And Stu, all the people that are coordinating this are volunteers. I know yourself as a councillor, you would give up countless hours to come to meetings and to organise events and then to actually run the events. There's a real volunteer ethos behind the show, isn't there?
Yeah, very much. And that's right across the whole show movement, Tim, not just here at Sydney, but right through all the local show societies through New South Wales and across Australia. Interesting fact, and something that most of our listeners wouldn't realise, but as part of the Young Auctioneers competition every year, the livestock company Shoot Bell donate a steer, and it's usually raised and fed by Murrum Bateman High School, and that steer sold yesterday. We do it every year on Young Auctioneers at sale day, and that steer sold for $32,000 with all the money raised going directly to the Victor Cheng Cardiac Research Unit.
It's just such a wonderful thing to be able to do, not only people volunteering, but then to actually raise money for such a good organisation like the Victor Cheng.
Yeah, very much so, very much so. But we all do it, Tim, because we're passionate about agriculture, we're passionate about the show movement, and it's like anyone that volunteers in an organisation. you don't do it because there's a big payday. You do it because you want to add value, and that's what we all do here.
Blow the whistle. Blow the whistle, please. Blow the whistle. Blow the whistle. The whistle blows. Now's the chance to grab your camera. Take a photo. We'll halt the Grand Parade. We'll halt it for a very short amount of time. And the tradition of this is from the box cameras, where they couldn't have movement, is why we halted it. Go again. Is that long enough? Yep. Blow the whistle again, please. Blow the whistle. Yep. The whistle signifies that we have halted. As I was saying, Stu, that tradition comes from the old box cameras.
Yeah, so lots changed with technology, and you know they reckon that the most readily sold camera in the world today is the cameras in an iPhone. But yeah, the old box brownie, it was certainly not as easy.
You know the name. I knew it just as a box.
Yes,
box brownie.
Just, yeah, again showing my age.
Thanks, Tim. He says. And now I've just totally lost where I was going because we got that. Of course, we see out here, just going in front of the Cumberland stand, our pigs and our sheep. Jake, I know you're an avid man who travels around the country. Tell me something interesting about some sheep.
Well, the merino sheep, they're a predominant breed of sheep in Australia. They were first introduced in 1797, and we have different types of merino sheep. We have the strong merino, medium merino wool, fine merino, and the super fine merino.
And what about our pigs?
Yes, our pigs, of course, they arrived out here with the first fleet back in 1788, and they are much more tolerant of colder temperatures. They don't like the warm weather as much. When trained, piglets can learn their names, believe it or not, Tim.
I would believe that, actually.
And female pigs are called sows or cows. They can give birth to offspring twice a year to a litter of around 12 young baby pigs, and the baby pigs are called piglets.
Well, we also see on the far side of the arena the Furphy train, and this was first used to move new Furphys from the factory in Shepparton to the railway yard for transport to agents and customers. This historic event was first reenacted in 2017 at the Brelin Good Old Days weekend, and this event is held in October every year. Towing it along is a 1927 Macorac Deering 1530. This has been in the Rudd Irwin purchased this 4-cylinder tractor in 1931, and it has been in the Irwin family ever since. Dawn and Laurie Irwin look after it for many years, and here she is today in the big smoke showing herself off. Well, they don't make it like they used to, do they?
So they say. I was just alluding earlier to our Supreme Champion Red Angus exhibit, and in front of the members stand you can see the Red Angus sign, and you'll see David Hobbs holding that bull there, 1,212 kilograms.
We've had some amazing show jumping here throughout the event as well. First 2 days, junior young riders, been some good competition, hasn't there, Jake?
There certainly has. Tim, yesterday, of course, the junior competition was won by Alexandra Costello from Wallabadar here in New South Wales. That was the junior rider class yesterday. And the young rider class yesterday, Malia Leng McMahon from Logan Lee in Queensland was the winner yesterday. And then this morning we've had the junior riders once again at a 1 metre 30, and Malia Leng McMahon taking out another win, riding her wonderful grey horse KS Capulet Ego Z. And in the young rider class, Lucy Evans from Far Meadow here in New South Wales, riding Viva Joy, was the winner of the class.
Stu, we see some of our cattle, some of our horses with different coloured ribbons. For people sitting out there, the ribbon signifies their placing, doesn't it?
It does, Tim. It signifies the placing in each class. So a blue ribbon is first place, red ribbon is second place, white is third, and typically green is fourth. In the cattle, our judges can also elect to issue present what's called a highly commended, which is a maroon coloured ribbon, and you'll notice some of the cattle have got ribbons on and some haven't. So where we're at with our judging at the moment, some of the breeds have been judged. We've got a big day tomorrow with Angus, our main breed in terms of numbers tomorrow morning, Charolais as well, Herefords, as you can see, a great representation of Herefords in front of the member stand at the moment. No ribbons, but they'll have their opportunity in front of the judge tomorrow afternoon.
We saw a little bit earlier, they've just left. I wasn't quite quick enough. We saw some horses with some purple rugs on, and they are actually not just being lazy, not getting their horse prepared. They've won a best or a presented class with a sponsored Kersey rug, and that's a treasured item. You'll only find that rug used at showtime.
And that would go straight to the pool room, I would imagine.
100%, Darryl, straight to the pool room. Of course, we see all of our livestock starting to make their way out of the arena. We have our ringmaster, and the history of the ringmaster. It has been a job that has been running in our records right back through, if I go, to 1901, when J.H. Sullivan and J.A. Saunders were officially our first ringmaster, and they have been right through. For many years, we had the very respected, still on the council today, Mr. Lawrence Angus as our ringmaster, and then we had Bill Picken, and today it's Mr. John Bennett. He has a massive job. His role means he's overseeing the ring from dawn till dusk and into the night.
It's got to be one of the hardest working people on the showground. John does an incredible good job. It's tireless. He's been here for about 5 days prior to the show. It's a huge job, and as you say, a big responsibility, because he's responsible for everything that happens in the main arena here at Sydney.
He's always ably assisted by our green coats. Our wonderful green coats do a super job, don't they, Jake?
They certainly do. Assisted here this year by Mr. Ben Collette, Mr. Robert Drew, Mr. Scott Jones-Ryan, Mr. Stephen Myhill, Mr. Cliff Parker, Mr. Tom Steger, and Mr. Stephen Wells.
You know, the Grand Parade, it's a serious event, but as a competitor, it was always a lot of fun. I know the antics that used to go on. We used to see how many different circles we could ride in before the greencoats busted us. And the pocket full of minties. You know, you always used to go out there with a pocket full of lollies, and you'd eat your lollies, ride around, see yourself on the big screen, wave at the camera. It's a lot of fun.
I've seen a few mobile phones, not so much this year, but in the last couple of years, there's quite a few selfies being taken in the Grand Parade, I think.
It's one of those events that you don't get to do very often, and so you'll see the horses, when they come out to compete, are quite civilised, and then they get really excited because they know when they come out here, they're on a job. You know, they're coming to do their job. They come out and they're like, where are the jumps, or where is the judge judging us?
Yes, no, there is, and it's funny. Most livestock, they know when they're on. It's like an actor, you know. They know when they're on and need to be on their best behaviour. A couple of our show jumpers having a little bit of trouble there at the moment.
You look at our stock horses, the Australian stock horses. They're like, yeah, we do this every day. We just cruise around. What's the worry? These highly strung athletes over here carrying on like a kid full of red cordial.
Yeah, look at the stock. That's a wonderful spectacle, the stock horses, and congratulations to the society on 50 years. It's a wonderful milestone.
Over 200,000 registered horses in the Australian Stud Book and some 9,000 members. It's a wonderful organisation that holds a lot of traditions very similar to the RAS.
And it's interesting to know that, as you said earlier, the breed for every need. The atypical Australian horse is so well represented now in New Zealand, in America, I believe, and also Canada. It just shows that the versatility of what is such a wonderful breed and wonderful horse.
And we talked earlier about the cattle, people coming here for the commercial value. A lot of these people are business people as well, and the commercial value in the Australian stock horse, people now see the value of having a top stock horse working on a property, as you were saying earlier, Jake.
Yes, that's right. Recently they just had a big horse sale up in Tamworth, and the average of 600 horses up there averaged over $20,000.
Per horse.
Per horse. That was a 4-day sale.
It's amazing, isn't it, when you think about that? 600 horses, average of $20,000 a horse.
Well, I think it goes to your point earlier about the versatility, the fact that farmers again, there's a lot of people going back to horses, I think, for movement of stock and getting away from, what's the word I'm looking for? Quad bikes type thing.
Motorbikes.
And there's this trend to go back, and a good horse is an asset.
Well, I was talking to a mate of mine, Troy Palmer, who does a lot of contract mustering, and he was saying if you can keep a beast more relaxed, walk it into the yards calmly, which you can do on horseback. You're not having to rev them and beep the horns. You can just sort of sidle up beside them, push them where you need to go. If that beast can get there, and at the moment with the prices they are, 2 to 3, 4 kilos heavier because they haven't stressed,
Yes.
then that's going to give you a value. And that's why we're going back to the traditional way. It's also less, the horse has less impact on the land. You're not getting these big cattle track, motorbike tracks and the sound of it as well.
And the other thing too, that when you talk about cattle being less stressed, when they get processed, a stressed beast will show up in how they process, and it'll be clearly evident. It's like if they get knocked around on a truck, they're called dark cutters because they bruise, and the value
Devalues it.
devalues. And stress is the same. They build up this lactic acid and it comes through, so you don't get that lovely, soft, tender piece of meat on your dining table.
See on the big screen at the moment that beautiful garland on that horse, and that there is another signifying a champion winner, and that there again will be going straight to the pool room. It will be very cherished.
Yes, and you see the numbers of stock horse competitors here at Sydney. To go away with a Garland or a Rug, as you were saying earlier, has got to be an incredibly prized possession.
It most certainly does. Just sit on your hands, ladies and gentlemen. I know you'll see here that horse did just get a little fright. But we'll just get him under control. That's why we have great horsemen and women out there in the arena, just making sure everything goes to plan. And I think that'll be Scotty's shout tonight at the bar.
I was just going to say, I didn't want to make too much of a fuss, but is that Mr. James Ryan?
I'm not quite sure. No, I don't think
No,
it is
it's not.
actually. I've dobbed him into the wrong one. Well, as the last horses leave the arena, we just have our ringmaster and our green coats. Ladies and gentlemen, can you please put your hands together for our ringmaster, for our green coats, and all of our exhibitors here in the Grand Parade. They lift their Akubra hats. A big thank you to Akubra for looking after our green coats this year, and we thank them. Those men there, you get asked to be a green coat. In fact, in the 1950s, they were red coats. But in that time, people were starting to wear red coats, and they decided to switch them to green. Cost them £30 per tailored jacket to be put there. Stuart Davies, thank you so much for coming up and being part of the Grand Parade.
Thanks, Tim. Jake, as always, absolute pleasure to be here. Best seat in the house, and lovely to catch up with you.
No rules.